Hey guys, and welcome to this ProRaw meet recap. It's been a while since I made a YouTube video because honestly they take a lot of effort to make and also I just am really bad at making them. So I appreciate that you've tuned in here to watch and hopefully you enjoy it. So yeah, let's get started. ProRaw sleeves 2022. This is my first ProRaw event. So for those who don't know, ProRaw is Australia's biggest powerlifting stage. Traditionally, ProRaw has always just been a squat with wrap, squat bar, and a mono, and use a deadlift bar, so similar to GPC or capo. However, 2022 was the first year that they ran a sleeve division, as they acknowledged that it is a growing population. So it's just like IPF, I suppose, with the stiff bar on the deadlift, as well as the squat, and you walk out of a combo rack. So very, very honored to have the opportunity to compete at such an event on such a massive stage. But yeah, I was incredibly disappointed with what I managed to do on the day. There are a couple of reasons that I contribute it to, but we'll get started with the numbers. So I weighed in at 89 kilograms. I totaled 770 kgs with a 290 squat, a 180 bench, and a 300 kg deadlift. Obviously not what I was hoping to hit on the day. However, it was enough for me to take away first place in the 90 kg division, so I can't complain with that. I haven't actually watched the videos of my lifts yet, and I'm gonna do that on this video here. So I'll react to them, and you'll be getting this live pretty much. I also put a Q&A up on my Instagram story the other day, and I will be going over those questions in a second. I suppose we can just start watching the video. So here is my first attempt squat, and this is 275 kgs. And the spotters were hype on the day. Breath, brace, deep.
275, so my body weight moved very, very fast.
So obviously very happy with that. That was awesome. In my last competition, my third attempt was 282.5 kgs. So to walk away with this as a first attempt was a major win for me. So yeah, moving on, second attempt, 290 kgs I went up to because the first one went so well. There's a lot of akadaka on the day. Big breath. Low, and up again, and he's happy with that. I think that moved pretty well. On the day, there was so much going on, there were so many people, the spotters were so loud in my ear that I couldn't actually process how heavy the weight felt. All I remember is hearing the squat call, and then next thing I know, I'm coming out of the hole. I didn't ever feel like I was going to fail at this point, so I decided to take the big jump up to 300 kilos. Now, 300 kilos has been on my mind to hit for a very, very long time, and I wanted to do it today because I've been prepping for it and I felt good. And then this happened. So this is the only video that I've really seen because I obviously posted on Instagram, and I watched this over and over again, mainly out of disappointment.
Let's go, bro, come on. Take your time. Come on!
Oh man, look how sad. And then I got the rat call. I honestly thought I was gonna pass out here. About halfway up the squat, I just felt all the blood vessels. I don't know if you've had this before, but if you are under enough pressure and you let like some of your brace loose, just everything feels like it's gonna pop. I literally thought I was gonna leave my eyeballs on the platform. There was so much pressure in my head. And then afterwards I had like a red blotchy face. I had what looked like hickeys on my neck just from this one squat. So yeah, obviously I got two red lights, and the two red lights I checked later were for downward movement on the bar. Obviously I was super crooked. Definitely not intentional, but what can you do? The only thing I would say is I'm happy that I didn't fail it due to a lack of strength. Like on the day, I was definitely strong enough to nail this lift. I just didn't execute it well, and that's what happens. So yeah, finished 2 out of 3 attempts at 290, so I was on the board for squats. Let's move on to bench press. I'll talk about this later, but you'll notice that there are dumbbells at the bottom of the combo rack. I'll talk about why we got that later. Anyway, 180 kgs opener. You notice the amount of chalk that's on my back, and that part of my back doesn't even touch the bench? Alright, so you see again here, dumbbell still at the base of the thing, Tom Bro with the hand out, and then just a real struggle. I normally don't struggle this much with 185 kilos, but today was not my day. Anyway, I got red lighted on that for my butt coming off the bench. I think I got 2 red lights again from the side refs, obviously. And then, so I thought to myself, 3rd attempt, may as well just go for it. So I upped it to 187.5, which I believe is the most I've benched in competition anyway. So it wasn't terrible, but it's definitely not what I wanted. Honestly, the more I watch these videos, the more sad I get about my performance. It's honestly so frustrating because I wanted so much more. Let's move on to deadlifts, which again I did not excel at all. So 300 kgs opener, easy, 3 white lights, and that was good. So then I thought, why not jump up to 325? And then this happened, couldn't quite lock it out. And then 3rd attempt, took the same weight again, 325, and just couldn't do it, just didn't have it in me. Anyway, so yeah, end of the day, 770 total, 89 kgs body weight, incredibly abysmal. The more I think about this competition, the more upset I get about how terribly I did. So yeah, the bench press, the floor was incredibly slippery. So these dumbbells that you see on the floor of my bench press, it's because the combo rack would slip every time somebody either unracked or re-racked. The flooring that they use in the competition was just like your normal gym rubber matting, which is absolutely fine, except that it was like 10 years old and there was absolutely no grip to it. If you looked at it from a certain angle, it was all shiny. So me as someone who was heavily reliant on an arch for their bench press, I suffered. That 180 was almost flat back for me. I just couldn't get it. Even on the 3rd attempt, I don't know if you noticed, but I switched shoes out just to see if that would make a difference. No difference. I even asked if I could bench in socks because it was that bad. And I would never ask that, but I was so desperate. And so pretty much after squats, after first bench press attempt, everything just went downhill from me from there. But you know, what can you do? That's just competition. And yeah, it is what it is. But I think that's part of what makes a really good powerlifter, is being able to perform under all different circumstances and still come out on top. I think the advantage of being able to train and hit PRs in your own gym is that you know your gym. You know the good rack to bench on, you know the good rack to squat on, you know which weights that you like to use. And so all that is very familiar to you. It is very different when you're a competitive powerlifter and you start having to travel to different venues, different countries, and still perform as well as you do in your home gym. And so I think for me, that's just part of being a good powerlifter. So obviously on the day, I didn't perform to where I normally would like to have been. You know, I left 40, 50 kgs out on the platform, which is terribly disappointing, but I think that's something that I've learned. You know, it's obviously not ideal to have an 8-hour lifting day, but if I was really that good, I should have been able to switch on and switch off and still hit my numbers. So it's just something I wasn't prepared for. It's something I've never really encountered before. I've never had to wait that long in between lifts. So maybe on a different day where, you know, it was a normal 3-4 hour meet, maybe I would have performed better. Maybe if there was a better platform there, I would have hit a higher bench. But you know, that's the nature of the sport. Not everything that you do is going to be the way that you want it to. And unfortunately, a lot of things are out of control on competition days. Anyway, I'm going to get into the questions that I put up on my Instagram story. A lot of the questions were fairly similar, so I'm just gonna roll with them. And if I don't get to answering your question, I'm sorry. Crozier asks, what was it like compared to previous comps in terms of atmosphere? The atmosphere I don't think was as great as it could have been on the day. I think largely that would be because no one knew what the fuck was going on. There was very little communication leading into the competition, so there were no communications about how flights were going to work. We didn't know who we were going to be lifting against, and so there was a lot of apprehension amongst a lot of the lifters. And I remember messaging pretty much anyone that I knew that was going to ProRaw. I was like, what's the deal? Like, when is weigh-in? Is there a lifters list? How many flights are there going to be? How many people are there going to be in every flight? And no one had any answers. So when we turned up for weigh-in on the day, everyone was like, what the fuck's going on? Turned out we had 90 lifters lifting in one day across 4 flights. So my first squat was around 11:15, 11:20, and my last deadlift was at 8:45 p.m. So that's a long ass day for powerlifting. Given most comps that you usually compete at are about 3 or 4 hours. So I think once you got past the confusion and you kind of figured out what was going on, everyone started to perk up a little bit. But by the end of the day, everyone was fucked. Everyone was so tired, man. You could just see it on people's faces. They just wanted to go home. So it was great atmosphere for a little bit of it. I think it definitely could have been better. Compared to other competitions though, I would say it was pretty on par. I mean, it was nothing that I hadn't experienced before, but it wasn't terrible. So, I give it atmosphere, maybe like a 6 out of 10. Would you do ProRaw sleeves again? Yeah, I think it would really just have to depend on how well it was organized, because I don't want to lift in another 8-hour competition again. I also don't want to prep, for 4 or 5 months on end, going completely into the dark and not knowing what's going on. So I would like to, because I did so terribly at this competition, and I don't want to be that guy that just performs shit at a certain venue and then just decides he's never going to compete at that place again. So I would say, yes, I would, but it would have to be under certain circumstances. What were the mental and physical challenges you faced, and how did you push through them? Again, the biggest mental challenge was the fact that it was like for most people, like an 8-hour lift. An 8-hour competition. You just need to be, in normal competition, you need to be able to switch on when you need to, and then switch off when you need to chill out in between your flights and all that kind of stuff. But in a day that's so long and when you don't know when you're going on again, that was probably the biggest thing for me. And I was exhausted, honestly, physically and mentally. By the end of the day, I had nothing left. I was absolutely gassed. I suppose the one thing I can be positive about is the fact that I know that I 100% left everything on the platform. How good were the spotters? The spotters were really, really good. Super hype. Yeah, great. Good catches also. Thanks for saving my life. Your mentality in going about prep and your squat PR. So my mentality going into every competition is that first priority is always to win, and then PRs come second. That's just the way that I like to operate. In my mind, the way that I reason is that no one can ever take a win away from you, but someone could always beat your squat PR or record or whatever. So I always say, secure the win, and then you can get a sick ass. Oh, I'll show you this trophy. I know I've posted it, but this thing's huge. Look at it. This thing weighs 6 kgs. I barely fit it into my suitcase. Almost didn't even make it home. And it's got these little spikes on it here. So they wouldn't let you take it as carry-on because you could obviously weaponize this. But honestly, definitely the coolest trophy I've got, for sure. So shout out to ProRaw for that. But yeah, that was my mentality, is always to win first, PR second, and then also I like to try and beat everybody overall. So whether you're in my weight class or not, I'm gonna try and beat you on whatever point system they're using, but that's just me. Run through your daily routine. Okay, so daily routine, and I'll speak about this specifically, this meet that I just did, but I woke up in the morning, a couple hours before weigh-in, I weighed myself, made sure that I was still tracking because I did need to cut a little bit to get underweight. Once I did that, I was able to eat. So I think I had 2 eggs, couple pieces of bacon, and like a little pot of yogurt. And then I headed to the weigh-ins. Fortunately for me, this time at this competition, they had no list of who they were weighing in first. So it was literally just first in, first serve. So I managed to get in there, do my weigh-in. They had no gear check, which is great. So as soon as I did that, I just started eating and relaxing. And then from there, man, it was just straight into comp mode. Found my spot in the warm-up room. I claimed my territory. From there, it's just stretching your warm-up, get into your outfit, blah, blah, blah. In between sets, I stay as far away from everybody as possible. I hate being in that sort of section where everyone's ready to get up in front of, where everyone's like crowding around where all the athletes before they go onto the platform, and it's too much for me. I find it a little bit stressful, so I'm literally on the other end. If you ever see me at a competition, I'm as far away from everybody as possible, and that's the thing that helps me to switch off and relax in between my attempts. I try to stay hydrated throughout the day. I try to eat throughout the day. That's my normal routine. Sorry, rambling a bit. Pump up song before your lifts. I don't really listen to music on meet day. You don't really get to choose what sounds or what music you get to listen to on the meet day. As close to competition standards as possible. I don't listen to music when I train because on the meet day, so many variable factors that you don't get to be in control of. So, and on top of that, if there are important announcements being made, I don't want to miss them, so I don't listen to music. Your food / timing on the day, also weigh in. The thing I always laugh at powerlifters about is how much food that they bring to competition. Anyone who's been to a powerlifting meet knows that people come with their shopping bags full of like rice cakes and lollies and chocolate and Gatorade and whatever the hell else it's a whole bunch of shit that they wouldn't even normally eat on a normal training day. And I've just never quite understood why you need to bring so much food to a meet. The way I think about it is that you've hit PRs in gyms before while you're training, and you haven't been stuffing yourself with 5 bags of gummy worms. So why do you need to do that on comp? Bring foods that you're familiar with, and then just don't gorge yourself. There's no need for it. All right, well, I think that's enough talking from me. Again, thank you for watching this video. Really appreciate it. I might start making more YouTube videos because I bought this microphone and it costs a shitload of money. So might do that. I'm getting my ins and knee sleeves, the ones I ordered from America that have taken 2 months to get here. They got literally shipped yesterday, so I can expect it in the next week. Stay strong, keep training well, and if you do have any questions, flick me a message on Instagram and we can get to talking. But yes, thank you again. Have a good day.